This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to episode number 15 of the Wrestling Podcast. I'm Mike, and with me, as always, is Rex. How's it going, Rex?
It's going well, my man. How's it going with you?
It's going alright, despite the wrestling that I've watched for this show.
Well, I mean, you also came to an important realization this week.
I don't want to hear it.
The realization that Triple H is awesome.
No.
You have fully admitted it. You chose to embody
I
Triple H as your entrance.
Only because I couldn't find the one I wanted.
No, you love Triple H. It's okay. Welcome to the club.
No. I'd rather die than admit that.
Oh, then I could replace you. Shit, but then I'd have to do the editing. Man.
Yeah, good luck with that.
That would take...
I am the show. You're just the co-host.
What did we establish? I'm the 95%. Did you forget already?
I am the show and you're just the co-host. Deal with it.
Yeah. You're Michael Cole.
You're Jerry Lawler.
I'm William Regal, baby.
And you're not even like awesome Memphis Jerry Lawler. You're 2014 Jerry Lawler. We yearn for the days where you just drool over the women and shout puppies. But before we rag on WWE, should we rag on TNA?
Yeah. Well, let's rag on them a lot.
Not crazy.
I'm gonna be honest here. The one thing I thought for sure they were gonna fuck up, they got right.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we'll get there. But before we get into all that, just two things. First of all, not crazy Steve. He's crazy.
Yeah.
And the greatest ref bump of all time.
Yeah.
Where they missed him by a foot, and then like he just started twitching and fell over. It was so bad that like I knew that Dixie got involved and there was some stupid bullshit in the finish because I didn't watch it until after it already aired. But I assumed that somehow played into the finish. That's how bad it was. I assumed there was like some corrupt referee angle coming. Instead, it was just utter incompetence.
It was like on the level of Batista, like Mark Henry. Like the infamous bump where like Batista just takes a couple steps back and then jumps back.
Or Bully Ray.
But at least that was like clearly
positioning himself on the table after they broke the first one in the match with Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Or who was it? I never know who it was that was getting his head slammed by Steiner and just kind of
Christian.
What? It was Christian? Okay, I didn't know that. I always just, so distracted by Big Papa Pump and his peeps.
Well, who wouldn't be? Perfectly understandable.
But yeah, freaking TNA, man.
It was, save two exceptions. It was the most like TNA show that you can imagine. Racist chants from the fans.
Oh, I don't remember that.
They chanted, "Let's go Goku" at Sonata.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, I don't know if that's right. I mean, he did kind of have the hair.
It's at least vaguely racist.
I don't know if I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that
chanting
far.
an anime character or a Japanese wrestler. I mean, it's barely a step above calling him Jackie Chan.
Let's be honest. He's got like the Goku hair going on. I don't. I think that's a stretch on that one. I think you're hitting an iffy territory, but I wouldn't go the full racist card yet.
I mean, it was not. It was a show with absolutely no life to it.
Yeah,
And
and that's probably because there weren't many people there.
that, and I, whenever you've had this angle that's been going on for what? How long has the fucking Storm Gunner angle been going on?
I don't know. And you know what the thing is? I thought they put on a fine match.
The crowd just didn't
It's just
care.
I just felt like I've seen it too many times.
Well, that's definitely an issue, but I mean, it's like TNA's blood feud that they've had going, and the crowd was disengaged, and
And
they were cheering
and I
Storm, and I guess especially in Orlando, it's harder to do kind of the heel turn with him because of how long he's been working out of that arena, well, at least that theme park, I guess. But you know, for all the crap I give someone like Wade Barrett, who's getting this reinvigorated push and hasn't changed anything about him, I've got to give Storm credit. He's not the worker, he's not a great worker by any stretch, but he seems to be really trying and really embracing the heel role.
yes, and I think Gunner's been with him step for step. And I think the problem I had with it was it's this long running blood feud, but we didn't build it up really. I mean, was the violence in their I Quit match any different than their lockdown match? It didn't feel like it. I think the problem I've had with the feud with it wasn't an escalation.
Well, I mean,
It's like I've seen this shit before with these two just a couple months
you
ago.
got you got the finish crib from your favorite match of all time. No, not in the I quit.
But yeah, and I thought they put on a fine match. The problem was I just felt like this is lifeless because I've seen them do it before, and arguably maybe even better at their last match.
No real save, I guess, the opener and the main event, which were the only two like real things that I thought worked. I didn't think there was a lot of heat from the crowd on anything.
I actually thought, besides the Let's Go Goku chants, I actually thought the crowd was kind of hot for Sonata and El Tigre. Because they put on a fine match that was well done. Just, I think it's not as hot as it should have been, just because, I mean, what do you expect from a crowd that small?
No,
That's at a TNA show.
Well,
That's at a TNA show.
I was about to say, I mean, you look at like the studio wrestling, of the 80s or even of Memphis, there's no issue with small crowds getting hot. The thing about it is on a smaller crowd, if they're not hot, it feels even worse.
Yes, and I don't think the size of the venue hurt it. I think it did fuck with the acoustics. Like if you think of a small crowd, you want a small venue to really capture that. And I think with the TNA crowds, there's not really a culture for that crowd. Like you look at small Chikara shows or ROH shows, there's a certain culture of the fans, and there's a certain traditions, I guess you could say, that helps that crowd get hotter. They know how to play with each other and play off each other. With TNA crowds, you don't really get that.
Well, I don't think TNA as a company has ever really had any kind of, since you brought up the word, any kind of culture. It's never
Yeah,
had any
exactly.
real identity. It's just,
It did for a while there when it was the X Division and the Knockouts when they were really pushing them. And they kind of, I'm thinking like, 05 to 07 where they had this like more high flying. They were arguably the more exciting product at the time. I think there was a stretch that you could say TNA was beating out WWE in terms of the product they were putting on. And they were developing that. Then they brought in Vince Russo and everything went to hell.
Russo is TNA. He is their
But yeah,
identity.
let's talk the opening match though. I enjoyed it,
The opening match was
despite Davey Richards' bad haircut.
it's an awful haircut. Just shave your head, Davey. There's no fixing what you've done to it already. Just shave it and let it grow in again like a normal person. But
There's something to be said when you're in a match with Bromans and DJ Z, and you have the worst haircut.
yeah, but after botching the Wolves, I talked about it. It was just last week, huh? Where I kind of talked about how they brought them in. They were hot, and they'd kind of been just another guy on the roster since. They finally kind of did right by them and made them look dominant and made them look good. Is it too late to save them? Probably. It's TNA, but at least they're trying.
Yeah, the thing is, where do they go from here? Is there even another tag team in TNA? I mean, I guess the circus is coming with Crazy Steve, but
Wait until they get that new Kenta and Prince Devitt tag team that's coming in.
yeah. See, you're just trying to irritate me from the Triple H comments, aren't you? You're just trying to get under my skin. I see it. It's not
Or
going to work.
Kevin Steen and Chris Hero, who I'm sure will sign any day now.
You know what? If we got there, I would be fine with that. But what is it? Yeah, where do they go from here? Who are they going to take on? Bromance again?
Probably.
Like,
The other thing that I thought that they really got right was the main event.
oh wait, I was just thinking something. Sorry, before you get it. There was some hot moments where the crowd was going crazy. I think that their best moment was when Storm was using the beer bottle.
And they were giving him a
Got
face,
the beer money chant. You got the beer money chant going.
which is not exactly the response you want in that situation.
I think everyone involved had to expect it if James Storms was going to bust out a beer bottle.
But yeah, I have to say that I completely expected the main event to be a clusterfuck and a half. And yet it was a completely straightforward match. Was it the best match I've ever seen? No, but it was fine. And Young looked good.
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of how amazed I was that was a clean finish.
Yeah. You were expecting Abyss or Joe or MVP or Dixie or fucking someone.
What do you mean, or? What do you mean, or?
And
I was expecting Abyss and Joe and Dixie and MVP and Vince Russo and Bischoff and Bret Hart to referee.
to come in after a regular 3 count and overturn
Yes.
it. Now, the reports are from the tapings, and we won't go into it too much, but they've kind of already fucked it up.
Did they? I didn't really read
All
what
right,
happened.
anybody who cares about future episodes of TNA, we've done the same thing with SmackDown and that kind of thing. Fast forward about 3 minutes. The new heel
Right.
challenger for Eric Young going forward
Oh, I heard this part now.
is
You tell me that, yeah.
MVP with his new stable of Kenny King and Bobby Lashley.
Oh, I didn't know those two were joining
Yes.
him. All right, I gotta admit, I kind of like that.
And I mean, it makes absolutely no sense given the last few months.
I don't know. They had those Kenny King promos going that were like the Budweiser commercials. You to have like Kenny King under MVP's wing. I kind of dig that.
I mean,
It's TNA's evolution. Oh my god, isn't it? It's TNA's evolution. It's gonna be, isn't it? MVP Lashley.
see, I think in the most
Kenny
Vince
King.
Russo thing possible, he just thought, hey, we've got 3 black guys on the roster. They're all together now.
I think it's their. I think it's gonna be their attempted evolution. Oh shit. God, this is gonna be.
But again,
Oh
like
man.
after MVP, you know,
Just wait till the sword debuts.
the entire character arc, it's absolutely senseless.
Yeah, oh yeah, the heel turn makes no sense, but how it makes sense. They want to do evolution.
Uh,
Do we want to even touch Ray and Rude?
we can whenever we still got about a minute to fill for the people who fast forwarded.
Do we?
Yeah.
Um, Bruce Willis is a ghost.
Well, I guess we can kind of talk about the other thing, although by the time it's out, I guess they've apparently heard
Ah, yeah, whatever.
the
It's nice spoilers.
return
Oh well.
to TNA TV of the greatest TNA wrestler of all time,
Rob
Rob
Terry?
fucking Terry, as a part of Nux's
Crew.
Carnival crew. Yeah.
But he's in a mask, so it's not really Rob Terry.
Oh,
At least call him the Freak.
wasn't that his actual nickname before?
All right, is that enough TNA tapings?
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough. All right, so yeah, you kind of mentioned it while we were doing this spoiler stuff. Bully Ray and Bobby Roode and Dixie Carter and
That was Dixie
and the
Carter?
ref bump.
Oh yeah.
Which again, I mean, I guess because they running the main event clean, they had to take out their overbooked nonsense somewhere, and Dixie Carter in a beard was their solution. Dave Lagana just nope, can't have an entire show without some clusterfucky bullshit. So what do you got, Vince?
Mhm.
Gender bending.
Terrible disguise. I honestly thought for a moment there it was, oh fuck. No, I forgot his name.
Daniel Bryan.
No, Spike Dudley. I thought for a second it was Spike Dudley. I'm like, what is? Okay, that's a nice little twist. Nope, it's Dixie. God, that was just so ridiculous.
And
I just can't
as I
even.
said, I mean that referee bump. People, there's gifs out there. Go find it. Don't torture yourself through the entire show to find it, but go find just that moment. And it is the most TNA moment like to ever exist.
Yeah.
Maybe that's TNA's identity. Rampant failure.
Just fucking TNA.
Yes.
Why must we cover it on this podcast? Because I am forced to watch TNA.
We suffer for their benefit. They like hearing us rip TNA.
For their amusement.
Yes.
And I want TNA to be good. I want it to be good. I want more good pro wrestling. But god damn it. Just die already. Die. Let someone else get your TV slot.
I mean, the general kind of feeling is that if it's not WWE, that it won't be anybody. So
And, maybe Panda will be nice and just put a bullet in the head of TNA.
they wouldn't sell it to Toby Keith for $10 million.
Yeah, but now that they seem to, I think, really be in despair, if they're going down there and really having what sounds like come to Jesus meetings with Dixie, um, who knows? Maybe.
But and as well booked as the Eric Young stuff was, it's still unbelievably sudden for the character. And I think that's the thing. The TNA audience, and pretty much anybody who watches him, I mean, he is a very entertaining character. And if you would have built it right, it would have been a great moment. but instead it was just fucking random as shit. You know, it happened on one Impact with absolutely no build. You know, it was something where you should have built him up over time instead of just, oh, here he is, not even wrestling, kind of fucking with Abyss. Oh, nope, he's champion now.
Not that it. I gotta admit though, their video package they did was pretty awesome.
That was probably the best video package TNA's ever done, or at least one of the best.
That kind of sold me on the whole thing. I was just like, all right, this
That's
works.
actually kind of the moment where it's like, you know what? If they would have taken their time and like built him up and actually done it right, this would actually probably be pretty awesome. Instead of,
Yeah, especially if during that time they got a different champion that could have more meaning than Magnus has, like Joe. Have Joe beat Magnus, then you can have the Eric Young journey to get there. And then it means a little bit more because you have Joe, an established TNA star who
you know,
was.
put him over the guys that are leaving, particularly. You know,
Mhm.
you're give him a nice, TV feud with Christopher Daniels and let him come out on top. Feud him with Bobby Roode. You know, bring up their Team Canada stuff and how Eric Young was always the weak link, and then have him go
Mhm.
over. Really kind of put him in a position where it's like, shit, this might actually happen. And then, yeah, have him go up against a champion, lose a couple times, and then win in something that's really high stakes. Instead, it's like, oh, you're getting a new show on Animal Planet? Well, we're going to throw the title on you on Impact.
Yep. 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 Fuck TNA.
But Raw this week wasn't much better.
Yeah, it was another one of those couple of highlights, and then a lot of just there.
It
I mean, not particularly offensive, but just not particularly good.
and it's really kind of weird how a few weeks ago it seemed it's like, fuck yeah, we are excited for what's about to come. That post WrestleMania show, there were all these awesome nuggets planted, and yet they've just kind of spun their wheels on so much of the show.
I wonder if it's an issue, and I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, of just post WrestleMania season
See,
exhaustion.
I think in things like this, you're being pre WrestleMania. I brought up, the guys that weren't really being used, and your response, it's like, well, it's just pre WrestleMania. They're kind of
Yeah.
focusing, and now there's post WrestleMania fatigue. When is there accountability?
No, wait. I'm not saying it's poor and it's necessarily a good reason. I'm just wondering if there is some fatigue because they're still hitting high points with some stuff. I don't know if I just don't know. I mean, and they've had some wrenches thrown in their plan, admittedly. I mean, the tragedy of Daniel Bryan's dad that probably shook a lot of plans. I'm
The
not saying
plan
the
before that
execution
was
of it has been
still
good.
fucking Kanan is his first title challenger.
Yeah, which I don't have a problem with that decision. I really don't. Because I think it makes sense storyline wise. And I think it makes sense just as the entire journey of Daniel Bryan. I mean, Kane was a significant part of that with Hell No. I'm fine with it, especially while we're doing the Shield Evolution stuff, which is the high point of the show right now. But damn it, I think they are dropping the ball with a lot of things. I will tell you that. I mean, fuck, they should have done Cody Goldie at WrestleMania.
I have to admit,
I still think that was a poor decision to pass that off. And now it's being poorly done.
well, before WrestleMania, I was staunchly against it. But that was before they lost the tag team titles. They were in the Battle Royal. There was no angle of significance around them. And, I was willing to admit that I was 100% wrong there, that a lower card match on WrestleMania against each other beat what they ended up doing.
Do you think there's any way they can still salvage it? since it is just minor teases at this point.
I think you kind of have to do what you did with the Shield. You have to do basically a reconciliation and push them as strong again. Because right now, at being how weak the tag team has looked, splitting them up isn't going to mean anything. Now, if you want Cody to go heel, and that seems to be the obvious kind of response, build them up, have them challenge the Usos, have Cody act increasingly heelish and Goldust, and Goldust be against it until it's finally too much to take.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the way it's done now isn't helping anybody.
I don't know at this point what they're doing with it. Like, I mean, are they just trying to play a super long game with it? At this point, it's weak. I'm gonna keep hope up because it's still Rhodes and Goldust, and I think they can pull off whatever's gonna get thrown at them. But yeah, I mean, shit. I'm intrigued to see where they're taking things coming out of ER. That if it is just a brief lull and we're going to see things pick back up, or are we hitting another just like long-term trend of weakness? But hey, Wade Barrett's getting a push.
Oh boy.
You're down on Wade.
I think he's a fine mid-card hand. I just don't see much more than that as far as the potential goes.
At least, I mean, it's not like they're pushing him to the main event all of a sudden.
No, but it's things like, today David Shoemaker had a what he saw as kind of WWE prospect type people. Guys who've kind of come through
Mm-hmm.
the NXT system, and he had Wade Barrett at 5, only behind Reigns, Wyatt, Rollins, and somebody else. But like above Dean Ambrose, above Big E, and it's like, I don't fucking.
Yeah, I thought that was a gross overrating of Barrett.
I don't see ceiling with him.
I don't. See, I want to say like his ceiling is Sheamus.
Cesaro was the other guy that he was behind.
Yeah, he was ahead of Ambrose.
Yeah, ahead of Ambrose, ahead of Harper, ahead of Big E.
I could arguably see him ahead of Harper in terms of from a promotional aspect. Because I think with Barrett, you have a much more marketable star. Harper. I think as a performer, yeah, he's behind.
I think the only real marketability in Barrett is that he's English.
I don't know, man. He's got the look, that voice. Let's be honest, that voice just oozes heel. I don't know. I think he could potentially have like a Sheamus type ceiling to him. It's just an issue of how much can he progress with the. I think there is talent there. It's just can it progress, and I think they missed the boat with the where they had the awesome vignettes of playing on his bare knuckle history, but then his character they didn't actually change his character. I think it was just still Wade Barrett.
Well, I mean, the same exact thing has happened now. They took him off TV for months, had him be bad news, and they put him back in the ring, and it's exactly the fucking same Wade Barrett. Fucking take advantage of your push. I'm sure, life as in your thing, dating Alicia Fox and making a steady paycheck, it's not a bad life, but fucking take advantage.
And I think he's been doing that with Bad News Barrett. He was taking, he has taken an absurd gimmick and really gotten it over, and is really, really
Here's
been
the thing.
very, very entertaining.
I I disagree on that. I don't. I think to some extent it's gotten over now, but it was dead in the water for months. Kind of like the We the People was dead in the water for months. But eventually, if you repeat something on WWE TV long enough, people are going to want to chant along with it.
I don't think it was ever dead in the water. And now I think he's getting it across in his ring work, and I think that's the more important part is he's showing his personality in the ring. And he's getting that across better, especially with the RVD stuff. Matt, I thought that showed it great. Him busting out the BNB and, sort of having that shit-eating grin of his throughout the match whenever he was taking advantage of RVD. I mean, I don't think we're talking about a guy that's going to be a mainstay at the top of the card. I think he could secure a position at that upper mid card. Maybe once in a while have a main event feud, but I don't think anyone's. Well, okay, I don't want to say anyone because there are people that think he could be a mainstay of that top, but I think it's something that it's not exactly misplaced energy on them to push him here, especially to the IC title, where largely Langston has been mishandled. And I don't know if it's just part of their typical stall a push, see how a guy handles it.
I think with him, I think with Big E, I don't think they know how to showcase his personality.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think that's a problem they've had with a lot of
there are
guys.
reports from a few months ago, from whenever he first won the IC title, and they had him out on commentary, and there was a mandate from Vince that he wasn't supposed to be funny. That they, the old wrestling kind of adage, "Funny don't make money." He should be serious out there. And then the next week they sent him out there to do it completely serious, and it died. And so they kind of.
But here's hoping. I'm hoping there's little tidbits, especially as Triple H take more control, that they're kind of starting to realize what they can do with him. I mean, they were using him in their advertisements. They've done some app stuff, they've done some online stuff that's, letting him get his personality out there. Here's hoping these kind of tidbits, these little seeds that are planted will grow. Here's hoping.
That's kind of the weird. He is a naturally goofy guy. I don't see what's wrong with that.
I don't know either. There's nothing wrong with it. Big E is
I
awesome.
mean, The Rock is a naturally goofy guy. And they were able to integrate it into his character. And, the smart aleckness fits him. Mick Foley, goofy guy. He's a fucking stand-up comedian now. They brought some of that into the character, and he became bigger than he ever was before. Kurt Angle, goofy as shit. Until they stripped his personality out of him from 2006 and then sent him off to TNA where nobody smiles.
Yeah. Here's hoping. That or Big E evolution.
He is pretty dapper in a suit.
He is. He is. I don't know, man. We'll see. If they do misutilize him, it's gonna be a major fault. And I think I'm not ready to declare it fully dead yet, but there does need to be some progress.
The Raw big moment. I'm just gonna say this because every time he's on TV, I hear something along the things. I don't think that Ric Flair has been coming on TV drunk, high. I think that's just the way he is now.
That was my thought when I first I did crack the joke, what was the over under on his BAC. But when I got to thinking about it is would Triple H let him out there drunk?
Exactly.
I don't think so. But holy hell, was that bad.
It was.
Unless they are planning something at ER with Flair, that was a good idea, poorly executed.
And with it being
And
Flair, whenever he kind of turned to shake the Shield's hand, I think everybody was expecting a double cross. And I was kind of disappointed whenever it didn't happen.
yeah. So I don't know, does that double cross happen at ER or I don't know. And then Flair just wooing up the ramp, like what the fuck? Just what the fuck? I just don't know. And it actually worries me so much if he wasn't drunk.
I think it is just a situation where, so many years of hard living and everything else have kind of caught up to him.
Well, and you gotta wonder, the elephant in the room of brain damage.
Yeah.
But I don't know, was he that bad last time he was around?
He was pretty bad.
Was
Yeah.
he? I don't know, he wasn't that bad with the Cesaro stuff. Yeah, I just don't know.
All right. After last, and I
just don't know.
Before we go into Starrcade 97, I kind of have to say, people that listened last week, it kind of felt like last week was not our strongest episode. I'm just going to lay it out on the line. It wasn't. This week, we've already given you 40 minutes of, modern wrestling talk, and we're bringing it this week. And now we're going to rip the shit on some WCW after we come back.
Yeah, well, hey, I think there's some news we need to talk about first.
Did I miss news?
Well, I mean, you alluded to it earlier, but now we have pretty much official confirmation, Kenta has officially resigned. From Noah. Oh, come on. Stop. Just stop. And for all intents and purposes, is coming to WWE. It's like 99%.
What's Menta doing in the Impact Zone?
God damn it. I fucking hate you. But yeah, how excited are you?
I think it's definitely a good move, and given him and Devitt, I wonder if there is now going to be this push to kind of break into the Asian market a little more, particularly as pay-per-views because of the network aren't going to mean as much in the U.S., and launching the network internationally is going to become a bigger priority.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, and they are running a big house show in Japan. They are doing a Japanese tour with Daniel Bryan. So booked for Tokyo and New York City, which I think you'll see him in Tokyo, especially if Kenta's coming. Because if you're running a show in Tokyo and you have Daniel Bryan and Kenta on your roster, you throw those two out there as the attraction.
He's teleporting, man.
And I think people's worries about how Kenta's going to be utilized are a bit misplaced. Because you're talking about something where it's a major exemption to what their talent acquisition strategy has been of late. While 33 is not old, especially in wrestling, it is old for new talent being brought into WWE. For them to make a big exemption like that, I think you're going to see them have big plans for him. Big plans for Devitt. I mean, Devitt got in his contract, reportedly, a short NXT stay. I don't think you're going to see an issue with them being misutilized, per se, or really underplayed like people's fears seem to be.
Yoshitatsu's been looking for a way to get back on the main roster. Just ticket out of Full Sail.
Oh, man. As long as you don't fuck with his blender.
Speaking of Full Sail, I remember reading something this week. I think it was on Kate's side where someone mentioned that of people teaching classes, not working with NXT, mind you, but teaching classes at the school that is aligned with NXT. One of the men doing so is Ed Ferrara.
Yeah.
I know. It makes me wish that Jim Ross was still with the company. All right, one last little Japanese thing since you followed a little more than I do before we go into it. This weekend is the Styles Okada match. Do you think Styles takes the title?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, because that's been the heavy rumor.
Oh, jeez. Oh, see now I was completely blanking on the whole. He's the head of the Bullet Club now. Oh man, I don't think he does. Ooh, I don't think he does. I will say it's going to be a little bit of disappointment this weekend though. In one aspect, apparently Tanahashi's back is hurt, so they're putting him and Bennett on early so that they can have a very much smaller match that doesn't have as much stakes and expectations to it.
Do you mean in Toronto, or is Bennett going to Tokyo?
No, for one of their ROH stuff.
Okay, that's next week.
Yeah, I know, but I was just sidetracked with
Okay.
that. But no, I don't think Styles will take the title.
All right.
Sorry, that was just reminded me of something else
Okay.
in relation to all of that.
All right. All right, let's go ahead and take a break.
Alrighty.
All right, whenever we come back, we'll be talking Starrcade 97.
Night of 1,000 fuck-ups.
You see, life is greatness, and greatness is what you make out of it, you understand?
Hey everybody, it's Mike and Rex from Off the Top Rope. We wanted to take this break to let you know all the ways you can interact with the show and all the ways you can listen to the show. You can get links to everything we talk about here from our website, which is offthetoprope, one word, .libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com.
If you want to email the show, it's topropepodcast@gmail.com. We'll read your comments on the air, so let us know what you think.
To follow us on Twitter, we're at Top Rope Podcast. We tweet show updates, post the show as soon as it's up, retweet news from around the world of wrestling, and sometimes it's just random wrestling thoughts by yours truly. All wrestling talk, all the time on Twitter.
You can now like us on Facebook at facebook.com/topropepodcast. This is still new, but we're going to be working on adding pictures, links, and all kinds of good stuff.
You can follow us on Tumblr at topropepodcast.tumblr.com. There we post matches of the day, wrestlers of the day. We try and update those just about every day. We add random photos, lots of fun stuff. Now if you want to listen to us, you can listen to us through an RSS reader. If you want to listen to the show through an Android app like Dogcatcher, Linux program like Rhythmbox, or a Windows program like Media Monkey, among many others, this is the way you do it. You'll make sure the episodes are delivered to you just as soon as they're uploaded.
If you're on iTunes, we're available there too. Just do a search for Off the Top Rope. Look for our logo, subscribe, give us a good review.
We're also available on Stitcher. Just search Off the Top Rope or Pro Wrestling. Either way, we're right there on the front page. There are lots of ways to interact with the show and lots of ways to get the show to your computer, iPhone or iPad, Android device, BlackBerry, whatever you use to listen to podcasts. We hope you check us out, and we'll be right back with the show review.
Take a look at it, learn to love it. I'm not going anywhere.
When a man's heart is full of deceit, it burns up, dies, and a dark shadow falls over his soul. From the ashes of a once great man has risen a curse, a wrong that must be righted. We look to the skies for a vindicator.
This, in buy rate, in theory, in fucking everything, was supposed to be the biggest pay-per-view in WCW history.
Yep.
And It was booked admirably.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Start things off right away with a cruiserweight title match signed, Eddie Guerrero, better signed, Dean Malenko, fucking great sign. You
Uh-huh.
know, Ed coming off the Rey Mysterio feud, you know, including the match at Halloween Havoc 97 that I've said it before is my favorite match of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, you know, great level work that he's kind of been doing pretty much all around. I mean, the Eddie Ray match I saw a month later at World War III wasn't great. It was still pretty good. It was just, you know, not as great as they had been doing. But, you know, you put him in there with someone like Dean Malenko. Natural chemistry, had worked together, you know, I'm almost sure in Japan, had definitely worked together in ECW, had some of ECW's most memorable matches, had a great WCW matches against each other. Perfect way to start a pay-per-view, you'd think.
And they give him time.
Yeah. And yet,
And it's still the best match on the card,
I don't agree.
by far.
No. I disagree.
Really.
Yes.
I can't even imagine what you think was better than that.
A brawl involving two other former ECW talents.
Really.
Yes, I would put the Benoit Saturn match above this.
Oh, disagree. Disagree. For a second there, I thought you were about to say the six-man tag.
Oh yeah. I love Scott Steiner. I don't love Scott Steiner that much.
But it had Randy Savage,
I
too.
know. It pains me to say it. But no, I thought that was a really good brawl. This, and again, maybe it's just a difference in expectations. That match delivered on my expectations. This match completely underwhelmed them.
See, I think both underwhelmed me. I think this one, though, like taking them without expectations was better.
Well, then we disagree.
Yep.
You're wrong, but yeah, and there, as I said, this has to be among the worst, like Miss Guerrero Malenko match I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They never got on the same page. It felt like, you know, Eddie's doing some cool like little stuff here and there, you know, some trash talking, some stooging, you know, pulling out all the, you know, classic stuff, but it just I kind of feel like if the fault probably goes with Malenko. There wasn't much babyface fire. I mean, he'd get in control on offense and he'd start, you know, doing groundwork and stuff, and it doesn't, you know, it just didn't work. He worked it almost like a heel.
Yeah, they tried to work a different match for them too, and it just didn't work out. And I wonder if Malenko wasn't injured. And I wonder if that limited, because that's what I felt like watching, is like there's something limiting Malenko right now.
Possibly. By the way, because it's definitely going to come out of other things, how weird was it for like all the WCW wrestlers to be right there at ringside?
It's fucking stupid.
Especially considering how hot the show was, how hot the Sting Hogan feud was, you know.
Yeah, you put a bunch of fucking rabid fans there.
Instead of Mysterio waving to the camera.
I don't get. I just don't get that decision. Like, hey, it's our hottest pay-per-view ever. You know what? Let's give the best seats to our roster. It's just stupid. Fucking WCW, man. But I do gotta say, speaking of Eddie, the mullet is always welcome.
Yeah, Eddie's got like, it's like a 0.9 on the Eaton scale for a mullet. And
I gotta admit, because they showed it later with like Guerrero doing like internet commentary, that's not like an option that I can't watch. Like, oh hey, do you guys have the internet stuff they were doing? Can I listen to that instead?
Are you saying that you're not a fan of Tony, Dusty, and Mike Tenay?
No, and poor today. He was trying his damnedest to actually like talk the action of the cruiserweight match and like try to describe what was going on. And then all Dusty and Tony wanted to talk about was where the fuck is Kevin Nash?
I needed more Dusty, though. I need more, like, pure, ranting, rambling Dusty. I needed Belly Welly. I needed Plundering. I needed Pay Winda.
I just needed less Dusty on
You
commentary
shut your
at all
mouth.
times. I love Dusty on the mic, but not on
Shut your whore
commentary.
mouth right now. But yes, that's the big news that they have, is that Kevin Nash was not in the arena for
Oh no,
his match with the Giant.
what a shame.
And then whenever the match actually happened, Nash almost killed him, as we discussed in
Yep.
one of our early episodes
Was that our episode with
Jason Mann.
with what's
Yes.
his face? Shit, why am I forgetting his name?
Jason.
Yeah.
There, I said his name right before that, dude. You don't listen to me.
Dude, you're cutting it out, I tune you out,
I
right?
know you do.
But yeah, I still think this was the best match on the card. Ugh.
And there's like this weird, odd spot from the top rope where Malenko just kind of throws him off, and even the announcers have to cover for it because they both kind of sell it.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was going for like his gut buster move, and then I think Guerrero thought they were going for another move, and so Guerrero moves too far out of the way, and they both end up looking kind of foolish.
Yeah. Really weird. Really, really weird.
And the finish was a frog splash to the knee.
Yeah. And I forgot, did they sell it as like on the knee on commentary?
I think so, yeah. At least Tenay did.
Like, oh, today. I do gotta admit, I miss kind of like cruiserweight today. TNA would be so much better if it was like a one-man today booth talking the X Division.
See, I think Tenay just... I think Tenay had... We talk about how bad Lawler has deteriorated as an announcer. I don't think anybody has deteriorated as much as Tenay. He is not somebody that's intended that, should ever be the lead voice. He was best as the third man in the booth, giving his insight on situations which, he actually studied Lucha in the 90s, and he called the Lucha pay-per-view the When Worlds Collide, and he was a big part of that culture. And the time required, to be a full-time announcer has basically made it so he's so fucking terrible now.
Yeah, but how much is that? Look at what they've given him to work with over the years. I don't know, maybe I want to hope that Tenay can be redeemed. Give me that hope. Why must you take that from me?
Because I'm sobering reality. And it's even, Meltzer even kind of talked about it, is whenever he was with WCW, he'd recommend guys for them to bring in. Whenever he was with TNA at the same time, and they did something similar for like the World X Cup, he had no idea. Because, that was no longer the focus of his time.
Yeah. All right, should we move on to clusterfucks?
Scott Hall coming out.
Oh, was
Yeah.
that next? Okay. I was thinking it was the six-man tag.
Oh, that follows. Well, the Scott Hall segment was kind of clusterfucky too.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
considering, you're not getting Nash versus Giant for some reason. Nobody ever really said, which was a match that had been built for like fucking months. Um, very least you could do would be to throw Nash in his tights and do like, or throw Hall in his tights and do like Hall Giant instead. But instead you get a promo.
Yeah.
But it's okay. They're just gonna throw the time onto Luger and Bagwell, and everything will be better for it. Right?
God. For like a pay-per-view they had been essentially building for like a year. Jesus Christ.
And that's the thing. I mean, the matches that they were showcasing, way too many of them got too much time. You had an entire section of the crowd that were wrestlers that worked for you. Hey, you're going 10 minutes. Get your shit on.
Yeah.
Don't make us sit through 20 minutes of Luger and Bagwell. Please.
Yeah, for real. God, it's terrible.
Yeah, Hawk comes out, cuts his survey promo.
God, it was so bad. Oh, God.
We talk about
WCW hates us.
keep in mind that Hall did that like 3 times a week, every week, and that was the only promo he cut.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
yo, got a survey. Who's here to see WCW? Who's here to see the NWO? Another one for the good guys. Every show for weeks. For months.
Oh, man. Jeez, just... what the fuck, WCW? I don't... What... Jeez.
You know, the 2 main event matches should have gone a combined 10 minutes. Instead, they went almost 25 combined. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Kicking and screaming.
Yes,
But
we
Hall
will.
cuts the promo, Giant comes out, beats him up, and I guess that's it. The Giant's thirst for carnage has been satiated.
Mm-hmm. But without that thirst, he gets his neck broke.
Yes, he does. That and his thirst for Slurpees. His thirst for Slurpees and for carnage gets his neck broken.
Mm-hmm. Poor guy.
All right. Up next, we do have a 6-man tag. It's the Steiner brothers and Ray Traylor against, as advertised, Scott Norton, Vincent, and Conan, which is like the most random NWO trio you can think of originally. And then it somehow becomes more random.
Yes, it does.
As Conan isn't there today.
No, he's not, for some reason.
They never explain why.
Is there a real-life explanation?
If there is, I don't know it.
Oh. You're usually up to date with the classic Observer. Come on.
I don't have an Observer subscription anymore, and it doesn't go to 97 anyway, the old one, so.
Oh, okay.
It goes through 96. I'll resubscribe once they add more to it, but.
Yeah. Yep.
And.
What? Continue.
It's a shitty match that goes long and it's odd, and I guess sometime in it, Scott Norton steals Rick Steiner's dog collar.
Yeah, you have Norton, Virgil, Savage, Ray Traylor, and the Steiner brothers in 97. It is the most good old Big Boss Man. It is the most plotting affair. I literally feel like they should have they were all just wearing like little slippers, like house slippers, and were just kind of strutting around the ring, just kind of shuffling their feet.
Which is something that happens quite a bit in this show, it feels like.
Yeah. And it goes over 10 fucking minutes of just, a couple power slams here and there, and then some like really shitty brawling.
Yes.
And then Savage hits an elbow and ends this, thank God.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the NWO gets a win, because that's what they fucking need.
Of course.
Night of a million wins.
So you replace Vincent with just about anybody and take this back like 5 years, and this match would probably be just like an awesome Haas fight with Savage in there doing Savage stuff, but
Yes. Yes. It would be an amazing six-man. Are you kidding me? It would be the greatest thing ever. Ugh.
but yeah, this match captures absolutely nobody as in their working prime.
It's kind of like a microcosm of why WCW would go on to be such a clusterfuck for years after this.
Yes.
Hey, let's throw a bunch of guys out of their prime and just, NWO goes over and it's just a shitty match.
Yeah, so NWO wins. Up next,
Not even Elizabeth can save it.
you get a huge announcement from J.J. Dillon.
Oh,
and
boy.
that is that Nick Patrick is refereeing the main event. So up next, we've got Mongo
Goldberg.
McMichael against Bill Goldberg.
Were they calling him Mongo?
He was always Mongo, yeah.
I thought they were just calling him Steve at this point.
Like, even from the early part, they'd use that nickname. I think they kind of used it off and on.
Okay.
But, yeah, this is an odd match. Neither of these guys should be leading a match at this point in their careers.
Yeah. Who do you think called that match?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Oh, jeez.
But
This match needed Regal doing his own fucking thing.
But yeah, it's like this weird brawl, and they're trying to throw each other, and the timing seems off, and so they're both strong enough guys. They're kind of deadlifting each other, but it looks awkward.
Yeah. It looked like what would happen if you tried to pull wrestling moves in real life.
Kinda, yeah.
And it's not pretty. It's not Cesaro deadlifting awesome.
But it's got a table spot.
It does. You make that sound like a good thing in this case.
A table spot that was meticulously planned. But
hey, on the bright side, it was the shortest match of the night.
yes, it was.
Just terrible. Just terrible.
Yes. But Goldberg wins, and heels are just dominating so far because at this point Goldberg was a heel.
Yeah. Yep.
And
it's amazing that they would ride the coattails of Goldberg to better ratings than anything they had ever had.
Until they'd screw it up.
Until they'd screw it up. Well, then Goldberg screwed it up by punching a fucking car window.
Well, that was later, though.
It wasn't that much later. Was it like a couple weeks after?
I say it was a year later, actually.
After the cattle prod?
I
don't think it was. Or are you thinking they screwed it up by not putting Hogan Goldberg on pay-per-view? Which, that's a screw up.
That was a screw up, but that was an excusable one. Given
No, I think he only injured himself a couple weeks after the cattle prod. That's what cut that entire feud short.
No, because Goldberg wrestled Hall at the next pay-per-view, wrestled Nash at Spring Stampede, and then at the next month he was injured by the Steiner brothers so he could go make Universal Soldier. It was a year later that he injured his hand after the
Huh.
Bret Hart Goldberg match.
So it was karma.
We've had that discussion. You know how I kind of feel about that, and like the reputation from that.
Yeah, but still. Fucking Goldberg. All right, yeah. For some,
That's become the
it's been
narrative.
said on the podcast.
That
It's been said on the. Well, Bret Hart didn't help the situation, but it's still roots in Goldberg.
well, I meant about
Um,
Goldberg injuring his hand weeks after that. That's always been the narrative. But no, they fucked him up for a year before he injured his hand.
All right, I will be the first to admit many times on this podcast I am shitty with timelines, especially WCW timelines. I retract my statement. But hey, at least we get a decent match next.
Yes, as advertised, Benoit versus Raven. Except, according to this thing from Scott Keith, Raven had appendicitis, so it was Saturn versus Benoit.
Is that what the issue was?
Yeah. Well,
Then why was he still fucking had some sort of active role? If he had fucking appendicitis.
you can deliver. Maybe his doctors were like, you can deliver an flow, but you can't actually take real bumps.
But I gotta admit, like, I still get excited. I love Perry Saturn. I think he's a very underrated guy. Didn't meet my expectations.
I liked it quite a bit.
I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked it. I just didn't think it was especially good. I didn't think it was the best match on the card.
Well, to be fair, that's judging the card on a very low standard. It's not like I mean, and part of it too was the booking on this, because Benoit looks really good, fighting off the entire flock before succumbing. Saturn looks, Saturn never really looks weak. It's not like he's in danger of getting pinned before.
Except when he puts on his submission, because I'm sorry, Rings of Saturn sucks.
I never minded Rings of Saturn. His Death Valley driver was better that he used a little later on, but
I just don't like Rings of Saturn.
it's like inescapable though. I mean, it's double armbar.
I just don't like it.
You say that until someone busts out Rings of Saturn in a UFC fight.
I don't think anyone would bust out Rings of Saturn in a UFC fight. Because it's a pretty shitty way. It's not really double armbar. It's a freaking crucifix just sitting up.
If they wanted to win, they'd bust out Rings of Saturn.
You know what I would mark for? I'd mark for someone busting out like cattle mutilation and in the octagon. How great would that be?
Full Nelsons are illegal, man. Well, even then, you couldn't really do a full Nelson because of the gloves. You can't hook your hands right.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
What are you talking about? Cattle mutilation isn't full Nelson.
Wasn't it? Isn't it a full Nelson with like a flip over?
No, it's not a full Nelson.
Oh, maybe I'm just picturing it wrong then.
You are.
Okay.
Trust me, I had to watch the taste out of all of my mouth from this week's wrestling. I watched Danielson Shingo earlier since it came up in conversation. Yeah, you just pictured it.
Okay. Very possible. But, I've got to say that the sell of the Even Flow might have been one of the best DDT sells I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
It was just like stiff as a board and just
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was about to say, and then
Catamir
just
is a double chicken wing. It's a double chicken
okay.
wing. That I knew I was looking for a word I was missing. Chicken wing. It's not a full Nelson. Fuck it.
There's a hip hop track that I'm pretty sure references it.
As a full Nelson,
I I'd have to look at the lyrics, but I
then they're
think so.
wrong. They're wrong. But I appreciate the effort put in by them.
I can find the thing. I can't find lyrics.
Can I just say, like, I love heroin addict Billy Kidman. It amuses me to no end to just see him randomly scratching himself and just looking all down and about with like mascara running and shit. It just cracks me up.
Swinging his arms.
Yeah. Uh, I will say I was disappointed that Benoit didn't try and powerbomb Kidman.
Well, you can't.
But you can attempt. There was no attempt.
That's because he wasn't a babyface yet.
I did love. Oh God, was it a moonsault off the apron where Benoit just kind of sidestepped him and slammed him to the
It wasn't on
ground?
the apron. It's in the ring. Yeah,
Was it
he
in the ring?
dives in the ring at him, and Benoit just moves, and it's like, bitch, please.
just kind of pushes
Yeah.
him. That entertained me. Oh, which reminded me of like my one of my favorite spots from the earlier match, from the Guerrero Benoit match, where Guerrero's going for the Hurricanrana, and instead of picking him up to slam him, like Malenko just kind of uses his own momentum and throws him down. Instead of like the typical pick him up for a power bomb, he just kind of plants him into the ground.
All right, but yeah, Saturn wins, and should we talk next about what comes next? I guess.
Sure.
All right, it's Bagwell against Luger,
Yes.
and this match runs 16 minutes, not counting entrances or.
It's the longest match of the card.
Yes.
Your biggest pay-per-view that you've been voting for a year and would be your biggest pay-per-view ever. You give the most time to Buff Bagwell and 1997 Lex Luger. And it delivers on everything you expect it should. Complete and utter shit.
There's one thing I have to say on this.
Yes.
Bagwell, the wrestling, no. There's nothing good about it, but Bagwell's character work on this I felt was pretty strong.
Well, he's Buff the Stuff.
Yeah, but usually in the Buff persona, I think of him as this prancing, cloying kind of heel that,
Awesome.
like this pretty boy heel that thinks he's kind of a baby face, and in this match he is pure heel, and he's a dickish heel, and he's actually not bad at it. Just it's a shame about the wrestling thing.
Yeah.
But that's like all the good I have to say about this match.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really think of any other redeeming qualities in this match.
The dog collar comes back.
uh, Shit, like, God, this. If there's a great crime you can commit when having a bad wrestling match, it is to have a bad wrestling match that goes on forever.
Yes.
Holy shit. And you know what the crazy thing is? The crowd was fucking hot for it.
Yeah.
They they ate up every bit of this fucking card and this match. Uh, dear's me. Yeah, that's about all there is to this. It's just sigh. There's not even like a spot I can sit there and go, oh, well, at least I did something good there. Just nothing. Boring, plotting, brawling, and a couple power slams for 16 fucking minutes.
And run-ins.
And then the shittiest and run-ins from freaking Virgil of all people.
And Randy Savage and Scott Norton with the finish.
And yep. And kind of say, fuck the torture rack. Also, I think that was the shittiest torture rack of all the shitty torture racks Luger's ever done.
Probably. It's a pretty high bar,
though. Yeah. Let's move on. Fuck that match.
Do you really want to move on?
We kind of have to. I mean, let's.
As it's another match where it should be better than the end result.
Yeah.
As it's DDP and Curt Hennig. Now.
Yeah, I looked at this and thought, oh hey, because it had been forever since I watched Starrcade '97. Hennig, DDP, this should be fun. They get him out of time. Awesome. I'm enjoying this. I love both these guys. Damn it, WCW. Damn it.
And it's another situation where it felt like they just didn't click.
And DDP was trying his ass. No, I think it was just Hennig was not up to par that day. I don't know if this is time where, his, backstage issues might have been affecting him, but he just didn't deliver.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Hennig didn't come to WCW to preserve his legacy. Hennig came for a paycheck.
Who didn't come to WCW?
Very fair. But, I mean, he got better in time. He had better matches in time. But, he had shitty matches with Flair kind of coming in. He had this. He pretty much until he started working with like Benoit on the type, it looked like he was someone whose career was pretty much done.
Yep.
And so, yeah. Yeah. Crowd kind of gets, crowd loves it though. The crowd is super hot for DDP.
They loved everything about this card. Those bastards. Just fed the machine.
Although we did kind of get, although it wasn't very long, we did kind of get a brief Undertaker streak ending moment silent from the crowd. But we'll get there.
Yep. But yeah. Yep. God, that's so, this card broke my heart. And not because of the main event stuff, because, fuck both those guys. But damn it, there was, a lot of shit. I was like, oh, this should be awesome. This is going to be good. I want to watch this. Nope. Fucking I would rather watch 2000 and 2001 WCW events than this.
All that being said, I now know what I'm going to finish this show with. I'm going to finish it with that rap song that mentions, that somewhat references the cattle mutilation.
Who's it from?
Merce. It's called...
Is that the guy we were talking about a couple weeks
No.
ago? Okay. You have to email that to me.
All right. It's called Introducing the Brainbusters. It's an older...
That is an awesome name for a song. Holy shit.
He's describing his picture as a, and he calls it the mutilator. But it's kind of like a full Nelson with a sunset flip. And whenever I was first hearing it, it's like, I think he's kind of describing the cattle mutilation.
Nope.
Well, for not for necessarily for like the hardest hardcore wrestling fans, but maybe for someone who saw it like once, you know. Don't
Yeah.
be such a hateful.
I'm not being hateful. I told you I appreciate the effort. I stated that earlier.
Hater.
But if anything, I want the show to be accurate. Which is why you must always correct me on timelines.
But the DDP wins the U.S. title.
Yes, he does.
And from there we go into our two main events, both of which were way too long.
Yeah.
And I know that
I'm gonna say something here.
what?
I think Zbyszko Bischoff was a better match than Hogan Sting.
I don't know, they were both really bad.
Oh man. It's amazing. You could just sit there and see Bret Hart's soul die throughout these two matches as he realizes what he's gotten himself into. Also, how do you not have him wrestling on this card?
WCW, they wanted to save it for another special occasion.
God damn it. You could see the once hopeful Bret become grumpy Bret we all know and love now as he's involved in these co-main events. And bless Zbyszko, he tried.
He tried, but
He tried something.
the other kind of weird thing about it is that he looked like he hadn't aged in 15 years whenever he got in there.
Yep.
I mean, admittedly, he looked 40 whenever he was 20, but he also looked 40 whenever he was like 55.
He's the Greg Oden of the wrestling world.
Exactly.
Ah, man. I gotta say, can we stop with the special guest referee doing the pat downs? It annoys me. It's so overdone. I hate it. If maybe the refs did the pat downs regularly, fine, but they don't. It's like, but
And, you know, I know it's his company. Bischoff should never have had that much offense in the match.
yeah. I'll give it to him though. He did kind of take a beating there for a while. I wasn't expecting him to take some of those bumps he was on the outside. And I will admit it's kind of a guilty pleasure to see him with his like karate pads on. It just cracks me up. Every time he suits up like that, it just cracks me up. But for good wrestling, it does not make. And then they were doing the weird thing where they were trying to tease like Bret might be a heel or not. Like it was just a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Him always having to pull off Zbyszko and come on, Larry, what are you doing? and then Hart, they fucking botch the ending where you just see the piece of thing go flying and Hart just looks at it and just looks back with like a deadpan, and then you just kind of see him sigh, and it reminds me of like the Simpsons bit where they rewind it and you see Ralph's heart breaking. And they're like, that's the exact moment his heart broke. Oh, there it is. I kind of did that with this. I probably rewatched that about 3 times just to see Bret kind of look back and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but and God, that ending, it's just Hall gets involved, and so Hart puts him in the sharpshooter, while
Yeah.
Zbyszko is like choking Bischoff with a belt, and yet somehow Zbyszko's just the winner. I guess there was a disqualification, but why and
I
who? Fuck, I don't know.
didn't Hart punch Bischoff at one point too?
Yes.
And it was funny, like he was getting on Zbyszko the entire time about going across the throat and doing a chokehold. And they just finish it with Zbyszko choking the shit out of Bischoff with a belt. God damn it. Oh my god. Plus Zbyszko, he tried. But on to the main event. The match they had been building to for a year.
Yes. Should have been Sting comes down, dominates, gets the win, feud over.
I don't even think he needed him to dominate.
I don't think that people wanted to see this epic kind of main event. They wanted to see, after over a year of build, Hogan finally get his.
But I think leading to that should have been that sort of more epic main event. Granted, you had two guys that couldn't really deliver on that in this point in time. But really, it should have just been a clean finish.
And, there's also, obviously, with kind of internet stuff, who knows where the truth in the situation is, but that it was supposed to be,
An actual
yes,
count.
and yet somewhere along the way, the implication is Hogan kind of got his creative control clause and twisted that around. But yeah, this is.
See, I was it a creative control thing, or he'd convinced Nick Patrick
I'm not sure.
with all the rumors? But can I just say, Nick Patrick, man, really reminded me. Oh shit, I should know the guy's damn Eastbound and Down. I should know the Danny. Fuck, why am I
McBride.
blanking on his last name? McBride. The motherfucker went to my high school. I should know this. I've met him a couple times. Nice guy in the world. But yeah, he looks like Danny McBride. That's what I was thinking throughout the whole match, because the match sucked. Was just like, that McBride looking motherfucker. But yeah, we get the restart with Bret, and then a couple of stinger splashes, and Bret Hart dying as he has to watch Sting do his sharpshooter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sting was not in wrestling shape whenever he came back. And.
Was he when he left?
Yeah. Come on, dude. I know that you like to bang the.
No, but I think you hit 93. I think like you hit 94, and that's when his in-ring shape starts to decline. He was athletic before, and he would keep up a pace, but I think 94 is when he. I don't think he was in ring shape when he left.
He stopped working out, though, basically. Yeah, he had these little chicken arms in this show, and he was wearing a full body suit to cover up any lack.
I actually kind of thought he looked in like decent shape. Like he looked like more svelte, more, he was more ready for cardio. But yeah, I mean, God, it just suck, and everyone ate it up.
He probably went off the steroids.
Yeah.
Now, your favorite kind of thing seems to be talking about Sting and the fact that, even though he was kind of the X factor in this, which was the highest, I think that this show killed any future draw for Sting. I think in the angle they finally found something that caught a special kind of fervor, and I admit I was one of those guys who tuned into Nitro every week. I didn't get the pay-per-view. I wasn't allowed to get pay-per-views then, but I mean, I was invested into the story as much as I could be. And I think between this and the Nitro afterwards, WCW absolutely destroyed any potential for Sting to be a draw going forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
And that's
I would say they did. I thought the build and the feud was great. They built Sting up really great there, and I do think they kind of killed it, and they botched it bad. I'm not saying that WCW did him any favors. No, they didn't.
well, that's something that I think whenever we talk about draws and everything that I think sometimes gets overlooked. If you get booked like shit, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If if WWE had booked Stone Cold like this at WrestleMania 14, had him get a win basically because a referee fake screwed him out of it, and then the very next night made him look like a bitch too, would we have had the Attitude Era?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I would never say that they didn't fuck it up with him. I would say, however, he wasn't the biggest draw even in that build up. It was built on the back of Hogan and NWO. But yeah, going forward, they fucked him over hard. But I think that doesn't change. My problem is people would argue that, and it's not you, I know that, but other people will argue and fight fervently that he was. But the actual fact of he never was. This is the way it is, through whether it was him or WCW not doing him favors. It just never materialized, is my point.
My entire thing with Sting has been that throughout his kind of run, anytime he was actually given the situation, and I've said I never really thought it's intentionally been malice, except maybe here in '97. The rest of the time, it's just incompetence. But if you give him shitty heels, if you never really ran him taking a challenge from like Flair. The only like real Flair him title defense was whenever Flair was the Black Scorpion. At least going forward, maybe whenever he held the title later, they might have done that. But you never ran him Hart in '97. That would be kind of a natural extension to go from. You never, 92, 93. I mean, he'd win the title and then he'd start feuding with Sid Vicious, who was not, a main event guy at that time, was kind of getting pushed up, or the Cactus Jack, heel stable group there in '92, and it's just a situation where I don't think all of that is in a vacuum, and I think, for example, Sting coming into this match out of shape, absolutely on Sting. Sting
Oh yeah.
not being a draw throughout his career, I don't really think that that's on Sting or necessarily a failing of Sting, because in '90, whenever the time was right and the angle was hot, he tore his ACL. And they kind of had to push that back, and it wasn't as special.
And yeah, I would never say it's just on Sting. But I don't think you could say it's take him out of it completely, like you're saying right there, that it's not on him as well. He's a major factor in it. And I think it's not just looking at him, it's in comparison to what guys around him were doing at the time as well.
And that's my big point. Nobody in early '90s WCW was drawing shit.
That's not necessarily true if you look at the rates, besides which, shit, I have it all written down somewhere. Damn it, I don't have it with me. Maybe I'll write about that later. But yeah, I mean, whether or not where the blame is, like I was saying, the fact is that people try to make the assertion that he was when he wasn't. That's my big issue. Isn't whether it's on Sting necessarily. Of course, WC didn't do him favors. WCW didn't do a lot of fucking people favors. It's just that people will often make the assertion that he was a big draw when he never was. It's just the fact of the matter. For all of the various factors that converged, it never produced on the end. That's just the way it is.
All right. Should we do MVP, LVP?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Since you picked the event, my MVP. Oh, fuck. We've come a long way considering that before this podcast started, I hadn't watched a Benoit match in years. I can't bring myself to give him MVP on a show, which we've never done. So I've just kind of by proxy got to give it to Perry Saturn, even fully admitting that Perry Saturn was not the thing in that match that made it great.
What, not Billy Kidman?
And my LVP is going to... Oh, jeez. So many options.
I know.
I'm going to give it to Sting. Come on, Sting. You haven't wrestled in a year. You could have at least lifted some weight in that time.
All right. Let's see. My MVP, I'm kind of debating two options here. Thinking Guerrero or Larry Zbyszko for trying his damnedest. I'm going to give M to Guerrero and VP to Zbyszko. And my LVP, Hogan, for everything, for his performance, for possible machinations to make it a slow, and for, God damn it, I just want to give it to Bischoff for being in charge of the whole fucking thing. Just it's too much. So yeah, Hogan's my LVP.
All right. Okay, next week. Jeez. I've been debating this.
Uh-oh.
There's the familiar, and there's the unfamiliar.
Oh,
there's
Let's go unfamiliar.
network. Like, one of my favorite shows is not on the network, and it's one that I really want to do, but just...
A Clash?
No.
What is it?
I'm not telling you, because I'm not doing it.
I honestly thought you were going to pick the Clash that they put up there on the network.
No.
Which I don't know which one it is because there's a million of them. It might have been one we've already done for all I know.
No, it's not one that we've done, but it's also not one that's like, oh my god.
Okay. Let's go unfamiliar.
Well, not necessarily unfamiliar, but more just... We've never done one this modern. And so we are going to do Extreme Rules 2012.
Never done one this modern. We did Money in the Bank 2011.
Hence why I said 2012.
And we did a 2013 show.
We did WrestleMania the week after. That doesn't count.
No, we did Invasion Attack.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh yeah. Come at me, bro.
Fuck off, buddy.
Is this the Lesnar Cena
Yes.
card? All right. What was the familiar you were thinking of?
I really wanted. Part of me really wanted to do Japan Super Show 1.
I thought, how is that the familiar one?
Because I've watched that card like dozens of times.
Which one is it?
It's the one Fujinami Flair main event, Sting Muda, Steiners, Hase, and Sasaki.
Shit, I haven't seen that in forever.
I love that show.
I don't think I've seen
Liger
that. I don't think I've
Nogami.
seen that entire. I don't think I've seen the entire show of that.
I haven't seen the.
Damn it! If I had known that was the familiar, I would have said familiar. All right,
You
ER
bitch
2012.
about me picking like too much 91 WCW, and so I moved away
Yeah,
from it.
but-
And you.
Yeah, but the X factor of you're talking about a bunch of awesome Japanese wrestlers. Fine. Okay. But I'm actually really intrigued to talk ER 2012. I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk there, especially with the main event.
All right. So, anything going on this week?
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. All right. So, let's go ahead and get out of
Well, wait, what about yeah, Extreme Rules. I'll be live blogging that. Come check it out.
Oh, shit. I didn't even realize. I didn't put
Yeah.
that together. Perfect time for the show then. So next week we'll have Extreme Rules 2014 and Extreme Rules 2012.
I hope you guys are feeling extreme.
All right. So for Rex, this is Mike. This has been episode 59 of Off the Top Rope, a pro wrestling podcast. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll be talking the news of the week, including Extreme Rules 2014, as well as our event, Extreme Rules 2012.
God, this is going to get so confusing.
All right. We will see you all next week.
Have a good one, folks.
Both of these men are egotistical maniacs. Everybody knows that.
Now approaching the ring, weighing in at about 148 pounds, straight out of Midtown, one half the Brainbusters, although not a buster, the magnificent Sting, true ring technician, arm drag to submission, whole competition, whole possible way. Did I forget to mention, back in the day, that top turnbuckle from that song, son, spray, so one way or another, brother, I'ma get you inside of the square circle, and definitely hurt you serious, really bad, something awful. Severely injured every one of my contenders with my signature ender. It's called the Mutilator. It's sort of like a triple crossface mixed with the full Nelson. Throw in a sunset, flip a slight toss of the hip, guaranteed to end the match on the 1, 2, 3 tip. And just to see if there's any tough guys in the house. On my way out, I'ma walk through the crowd, punching every motherfucker that's trying to get loud, swinging like I'm trying to put a hole in your face. But don't trip off of me. I'm really just mad because I don't have that championship gold around my waist. But by the end of this EP, I bet you see the double B, me and 2 Max with the GOLD. Led to victory by a manager memo. About to bring the titles home and it's no problemo. Bring the titles back and it's gonna hurt. Who is the Beverly Brothers first manager?
Team defeated Demolition on Saturday night's main event.
He was just trying to get his leg away from him and it inadvertently slipped and hit him in the mouth.